From UBN Studios, you're listening to Unsugarcoated with Aalia, bringing you interviews with public figures and inspirational people speaking on self-improvement with empowering themes. And I'm your host, Aalia Lanius. Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of your favorite social good podcast. For a second, I forgot what it was. Don't mind me, guys. I am just excited to be back and have another opportunity to share an amazing guest with you. And you know that here, we believe every individual has the power to create change in their own unique way. Today's episode is particularly special as we are joined by someone who has broken barriers and shattered stereotypes in the world of professional sports. This individual has shown incredible strength, courage, and resilience in the face of adversity, all the while remaining true to themselves and their identity. Their journey is a testament to the power of representation and serves as a reminder that we all have a responsibility to create a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. But this episode isn't just about breaking down barriers and defying expectations. It's also about the power of emotional intelligence and how it can bring us closer together as human beings. By embracing our vulnerabilities and sharing our stories, we create space for empathy, compassion, and understanding, and foster deeper connections with one another. So join us as we delve into the inspiring journey of a trailblazer who has shown that being true to yourself is the ultimate act of courage. We hope that their story will not only inspire you, but also serve as a reminder that representation matters and that we all have a part to play in creating a more inclusive and compassionate world. So let's go. His love for baseball and country music seemed at odds with the secrets he kept hidden away for years. But in 2021, Bryan Ruby made national headlines when he became the first active professional baseball player to publicly announce he is gay. Set to be the subject of an upcoming documentary focusing on Bryan's path through the traditionalist worlds of baseball and country music, it will also chronicle the founding of his first-of-its-kind charity, Proud to Be in Baseball, which supports and encourages LGBTQ youth in the sport. In addition to being a trailblazing sports athlete, he's also a rising country music artist that appeared on the iTunes Country Top 25. More than anything, Bryan hopes to write music that speaks to kids who feel the way he did at 14 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Bryan Ruby.
Wow, that's a great intro.
Well, it's all yours. You did it, not me.
Oh, man.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, I mean, well, first of all, we are going to so some of the people have heard we shot 2 episodes as pilots with the live studio audience back in August. We haven't been able to share that content, which deeply breaks my heart. But yes, we are going to share that with the world. But in the meantime, we had to bring you on the show as we continue down that road because your story is incredible. You are incredible. And the impact that you have made is something that I think matters, and your story matters. So we're so happy to have you back. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you live in Nashville, right? And so tell me, first of all, you've been playing baseball since you were young.
Yeah, it's almost 2 decades now from when I first picked up a bat as a kid. It's still going though. It's wild.
And how did your experience shape your perception of the sports world as you were growing up?
Yeah, I think growing up, you're in the locker room as a kid with the other guys, and baseball is a very macho environment, and it's just not a space where you see a lot of queer representation at all. And, as that young kid who feels all alone, they don't know what to do. They watch games on TV and they can't see a role model like themselves. They say if you can see it, you can be it. And, I would have loved to see somebody like me playing on TV when I was a kid and dreaming about being a Major League Baseball player. And I'm not. I'm a journeyman independent league guy. I'm probably here on the totem pole of all the baseball players with the guys playing for the Dodgers that are down the road making millions of dollars. That is not me. As I grew up in baseball and continued to feel alone and continued to learn more about myself and come out to myself and then my friends and family and my teammates, I really, I guess, just had a problem with, I thought back to myself as that kid and feeling alone, and seeing that not much has really changed in the last decade or so in baseball. A lot has changed in the world. The LGBTQ representation is normal, in the world today, and we've come so far. And the generation before me, the generations before me, have fought so hard just for our rights and for acceptance in society, and to not really see that come through in the baseball world is kind of why I decided to come out. First and foremost, I've been living my life. I'm in a relationship, like we're in love, and it's amazing. And I wanted to come out so I could live my life and
be authentic.
Be authentic. And I also wanted to come out just because, I wanted to be the person that I couldn't see as a kid. Right.
Well, especially when the narrative, and even with the Super Bowl, it was kind of funny because some of my friends that are in the community, and, look, the way that I want to support the community is from a perspective of empathy. There's, as a Gen Xer who's part of the generation who is familiar with people who, took their lives or struggled so much because they couldn't be authentic to themselves. Yeah. Meanwhile, we're a generation of people who are like, listen, man, we don't give an F. We are being us. Like, I'm unsugarcoated for a reason, right? So how dare we not extend that same courtesy to others? But I say that, like, during the Super Bowl, there was, like, of course, talk in the community, once again, bringing up this concept of manly men play sports, right? Like this toxic to me, that's toxic masculinity. When you tell another man what it means to be a man, right? Yeah,
I think, so there's a lot to unpack there for sure. Who I date has no impact on whether or not I can hit a 93-mile-an-hour fastball or score a touchdown or kick a field goal if I'm a football player or hit a three-pointer if I'm a basketball player.
Right.
It's irrelevant.
Right.
But what it does do is when you are closeted, it holds – there's just so much – at least for me, I constantly felt like there was a weight on my chest, and I couldn't be the best version of myself that I possibly could be, couldn't play the best, couldn't be the best friend that I could be to my friends and teammates, couldn't be the best brother to my siblings and son to my parents. And there's a lot of or the best songwriter that I could be with my other job in country music. And, there's a lot that you kind of have to work through during the coming out process, and it's different for everybody. But I'm glad to be kind of on the other side of it and helping to push things forward in baseball and try to make somewhat of an impact in my sport. For the next generation of players that are like me.
Yeah. What do you feel are some of the most critical myths you are dispelling?
Myths. Well, I guess first and foremost that queer people don't play baseball or do country music. I think actually probably country music has a little bit more representation than baseball.
Right.
I just released a song called Baseball Country. It's kind of the best of both worlds, baseball and country music.
I feel like another one of the myths that you dispel is that if you do come out, that you still can have a job, because I remember previously you had things were told to you before, like which I remember working in the music industry back in the day, and I mean this is a very true story. I remember when Ricky Martin was still not sharing his publicly his his sexual orientation, and the record label was like, oh, you do that, you're gonna kill us, you're gonna kill the fan base, and so there's these reasons why, right? So tell us what was told to you, and then ultimately what happened.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what we worked through in the documentary. Is I had a coach tell me in April 2021 that if I came out publicly, I would never, ever get a job in baseball again. And I really struggled with that because I love playing baseball and it's my life. And, but probably the thing that I'm most proud of out of all the things that have happened since coming out and since starting our charities is just the ability to have kept my job and to have been offered more jobs in baseball, more spots. And I'm going to play this summer, play in some tournaments and go overseas a little bit and continue playing. And it really hasn't impacted my ability to play baseball, which is amazing. And I think that the thing that is going to change our culture, whether it's in the sports world or in the music industry, is just you need to have those examples of people who can hold down a job and be out and do a good job.
Right.
And then that'll pave the way for people to come out earlier and earlier, and then it won't even be a thing anymore. And you'll just, certain industries are like this. I think baseball has a ways to go.
Yeah, when we talk about representation across the board, right? Like whether it's large, big, beautiful women like Lizzo who can sell records and dispel this concept of like, no, you've got to be, a $105 and look a certain way, right? Or whether it's just in general, just simply for the fact that, like you said, if you can think it, you can, if you can see it, you can be it. And if you, time and time again, when we talk about representation, like look at the responses when The Little Mermaid came out, right? How many little girls were like, wow, there's someone on TV like me. And that upsets some people, right? Yeah. So you had one little part, I remember in the media that when there was a day that intended for inclusion during Pride Week, some people didn't like that. And you were the one to say, no, listen, this is our perspective. Yeah. So what was that like to be the person to say, no?
Yeah, I think it's, like you said, representation matters, visibility matters. It's right there on our charity's website, proudtobeinbaseball.org. It's right there. I mean, if you can see, you can be at all the quotes that we talked about. But there will always be detractors. When I came out, it was incredibly positive. 95% of the messages that I got were positive from fans and from people in the baseball world and the music world. And so I really think that it's becoming more normal, but there will always be those people that oppose. And I guess at this point, I am used to it. Occasionally you will get that message, and what I would like to show when I do get that message, I got a message last week from somebody who, messaged me. It was a fan who messaged me on Instagram. Why does it matter? I don't care who you date. Why are you posting all this LGBT stuff? And I don't want to get too dark, but we have these statistics from the Trevor Project. 45% of LGBTQ kids have considered committing suicide in the last year. Like it's tragic to see. And on the flip side of that is life-changing to see how good your life can be if you have acceptance and you have people in your corner. And so that's kind of why I have spoken up when I've felt the need to. Some of the baseball players that sort of vocally opposed our charity and kind of went out of their way to say that in public and speak out against Pride Night, they're not in the community and they haven't had the experience of growing up and feeling like they're all alone, and having those darker thoughts and
well, more really ironically, some people do, and yet they will still pass that on to somebody else, maybe for something different, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I think like the biggest thing that I tried to say in the media when some of the controversy happened was, this isn't for you. Pride Night is not for, it's in Pride events, and it's not for straight people. There's 162 baseball games every year in the major leagues for each team. Pride Night is one night.
Right.
We get one night to celebrate who we are. We have about 15 events scheduled coming up in June with our charity, with Major League Baseball and minor league baseball teams around Pride Night to bring LGBTQ plus youth groups to the ballpark and to start integrating these communities, because I feel like if you are a queer kid and you watch sports, you watch baseball, why would you be interested in baseball if you can't see people like you? Right. Why would you?
Right.
Why would you? I would rather, I was a baseball player long before I knew that I was gay. So I didn't feel like I should sacrifice being a baseball player.
Right.
Because of who I am. But I think if you're a younger kid and you're wondering, why should I do this if I can't see people like me? If this isn't a world that's welcoming to me, and like our charity is going to take a while, but it has to start from that younger age to just like be able to hammer down that message that you can be in sports.
Right. I want to go back to proud to be in baseball and the inspiration behind that. But before I do, I want to say, like, you know, you had started, you came out, you went public as the first active baseball player, and now subsequently, of course, others have started to follow suit. So it's like you guys are once again disparaging and showing the world the myth of, like, stop believing that there are not people in this community already here.
Yeah.
Because that's a lie.
Yeah, there's strength in numbers.
Yes.
What I always say is I don't believe I was the first ever baseball player to come out. I think people have. There's been players, even though the media credited me as that, I really think, and we've put a link on our link tree in our Instagram to kind of tell some stories of people who, you know, maybe some of these stories have been forgotten,
right? Because
they were a long time ago.
Sure.
There was a guy who was out in some capacity to his teammates named Glenn Burke in the 1970s, 80s. Like, no, there's been these people who've kind of been forgotten about, but what I say is I don't think I was the first, but I damn sure won't be the last because of all the stuff that we're doing with Proud to Be in Baseball. There have been players who have come out, you know, since I came out. There's more who are thinking about it every day, messaging us because we're the people to message, and talking through it. And the more the merrier. That's my philosophy. There's 16 million people that play baseball, so there's a whole lot more than a few queer people in that.
So going back to Proud to Be in Baseball, you know, an amazing organization, nonprofit, 501c3.
Yeah.
Can you speak to how this work contributes to the larger conversation around inclusion and representation as far as, like, well, at least as part of the inspiration for you and getting it started?
Yeah, it definitely was a process getting started. To start up a charity, as you know, 501c3 nonprofit.
Sugar-coated media.
Yeah, sugar-coated media. That's a lot of paperwork. I had to do all the documents with the IRS and get it set up the right way. I set it up because I didn't feel like there was an organization out there. There's lots of LGBTQ charities. We've worked with some of them. I mentioned the Trevor Project, a bunch of other great ones. There's lots of sports charities, but there isn't anything that zones in to just focus on baseball for the LGBTQ community. The queer community is large enough, the baseball community is large enough that there's got to be somebody whose specific focus is to help advance the ball forward. You know, it can't come from a corporate entity whose purpose is to make money. You know, Major League Baseball wants to sell tickets and make money, and so that's their primary motive and provide a good fan experience. And there's lots of ways that we can work with those organizations, and obviously it's important to, but our direct purpose is to help LGBTQ advocacy in baseball. We went on Wix.com. They should sponsor us. They don't, but they should. I'm looking at you, Wix. They don't sponsor us, but we went on, we set up a website. We paid, I don't know, it was like probably $50 to set up a website. And within a couple days, it had spread around the media that there actually is something that is specifically focused on baseball, you know, for LGBTQ causes. And it's sort of just grown organically after that. And it's probably, I never thought of myself as an activist. I think I'm more of an accidental activist. I just want to live my life.
Right.
But it's really bothered me, you know, now that I'm an adult and that I'm on the other side of coming out, and that there aren't resources to help younger versions of myself. I felt strongly that somebody needed to do that, and it's more rewarding to do that kind of stuff and to try to advance the ball forward than any of the actual baseball plays that I've ever made. You know, it's that stuff is for me. You know, making a play, getting a hit, or scoring a run. And I'm going to do some more of that this summer, probably for the last time. At this point, I'm 27, and I'm getting ready to be done with baseball, and sort of writing an EP and releasing it throughout the course of this year. It'll all be out later this summer. That's kind of a celebration of my life in baseball and the culture around the ballpark.
Yeah.
And I plan to probably hang them up and be done, at the playing. I'll always be involved with the charity stuff, but
yeah, everything has its course. And,
yeah.
Let me ask you, what has been some of the feedback from some of these young men and young girls that your organization has worked with? I mean, what is there something that stands out to you that made you or affirmed that you're doing the right thing?
Yeah. You don't realize how many people are in the queer community in baseball until you're the guy that comes out publicly and you wake up the next day and you have 6,000 notifications on your phone.
Wow.
And a lot of them are from young athletes saying, what do? I don't know. Should I come out? I feel all alone, and all these things that I went through. And so the messages some of them have been inspiring. Some of them have been downright depressing because of the circumstances that the person's in. And I always try to say, just hang in there. It does get better. Tell someone if you're struggling with coming out. Most people heard about me when I came out publicly. I've actually been out for about 5 years to my friends and family before that moment. And each time that I told someone, it took a little bit of that weight off of my chest.
Right.
Right. And I received acceptance, and somebody could know the truth about me, and I wouldn't have to worry about hiding, because there's a lot of mental energy that gets wasted.
Watching what you say.
Yeah, watching what you say, where you go, what you do,
right.
And I've had entire relationships in the closet in the past, like in college, and where my baseball teammates didn't know, and I felt like I had to keep living two separate lives. But it's really helped my songwriting as well.
Oh, I know. And your songs are great. I mean, your songs definitely always have, I know, the standouts, you have these songs that you genuinely see there's a message in there to empower somebody, that needs it.
Yeah. The standouts, like you said, we're actually doing a remake of that for Pride Month coming up this year with Ty Herndon, who was one of, I believe, male country singer besides Patrick Haggerty, who was who did Lavender Country decades ago. Ty was the first, I believe, to come out publicly, and he came out in 2014, and I invited him to be my duet partner on the Standouts. And that was a song that I wrote last year and released for thinking about my grandpa, who's sort of my hero, and my sister, who's a teacher, and she hasn't got a lot of recognition and is doing amazing things. And so we're going to put a Pride Month spin on it, and you'll hear it coming out in June.
I love it. What advice would you offer to young LGBTQ individuals who may be struggling to find acceptance or representation in the sports and entertainment industries?
Yeah. Advice? Just that there are others like you. Maybe you can't see them, but they're there. You have to try to find them. Maybe you're not in a position to come out publicly, or maybe you don't want to. Maybe it's not safe, but coming out to yourself is the first step, and finding one person that you can talk to and be authentic with. One trusted friend or confidant, a mentor. And just that, we are advancing the ball slowly but surely. I've always used sports metaphors. To that young person, I would just say, hang in there. It gets better. And just keep following what you're passionate about. And if it is one of these industries where you can't see a lot of queer people, that's no reason to quit the sport.
Right.
Or to quit whatever you're doing. Talk about not even coming out, but just becoming a professional athlete is a task in itself.
100%.
And it's a lifetime of work, and you have to be committed and focused every day and get up and get after it.
Right.
And it's almost the same thing I have found with country music and with baseball. The way that I gain acceptance amongst my peers is just by working really hard and by continuing to turn out a good product, whether that's a song that I write for another artist. They respect me because of that. I help them tell their stories, or a song that I release myself. or playing a show and connecting to people, or showing up at the baseball field and playing well and being a good teammate. You just have to do those things to a level that where you treat yourself with respect and show up ready to roll, and they will respect you.
On that comment of athletes, I have such respect for it for multiple reasons. Not only the dedication, of course, I grew up reading about Michael Jordan getting up and 3 a.m. and type of stuff, or when somebody told you weren't good at something. I mean, you showed the world what you got. You worked hard. Shaquille O'Neal used to get made fun of for his bad free throws, and then he would practice and work harder. But my thought is like how there's also a repeat overcoming trauma. Like look, it's interesting because you always want everyone to win, right? But somebody is going to lose in a game. There's just, rarely are there ties all the way. And I've been to a baseball game that's gone 18 innings because somebody's got to win.
Yeah, right? They're long.
So there's like you keep saying, the metaphoric, there's the formula of success is understanding, first of all, just because you lost doesn't make you a loser, right? You go back, you learn, you get better, you get smarter, you get quicker, you just show up, and ultimately that you can't, like the physical aspect and trauma and recovery, what that looks like. And to me, it very much symbolizes life.
Yeah, totally,
right?
Totally. In baseball, so we play 162 games a year. If you win 100 of them, your team is really good. But you still lose 62 games. Right. Right. So you have to, I don't view it as a loss. It's never truly a loss if you're learning. Right. And you just got to take something from it. Even the best baseball players, same thing. You get 3 hits and 10 at-bats. You still fail 70% of the time. And when I was a sophomore in college, I was the 4th string right fielder on a Division III college baseball team.
Oh, wow.
And now I'm 27 and I've played in 7 countries around the world in independent baseball in the U.S. and I'm still going. and it's just about continuing to show up. And like you said about Michael Jordan, I'm so glad you told that story. He was cut from the varsity team, or whatever the famous story is. Played JV in high school. He's one of the best basketball players ever, if not the best. Yeah. I know LeBron James is making a pretty good run for it here in LA, but it's true. You just got to keep going. Same thing with songwriting. Right. We're writing every day, trying to be better, trying to improve, and I hope that it's reflected in the songs that y'all hear.
Right. Well, which to me, by the way, are very emotionally intelligent in that sense of, you've now learned and have these experiences. You have insight into yourself, and now you're going out and creating things that help do that for others. Yeah. Can you speak to the role that music and storytelling, can play in promoting greater social acceptance for the LGBTQ community?
Yeah. You think about who has power in our culture, right? Who has influence? Who's an influence? Everybody wants to be an influencer. I couldn't care less. But people do look at artists and athletes.
The reason why you can't care less is because you're just busy doing it. You're not focused on... I feel this because I relate to that comment. We're just busy doing it. We're not trying to prove to somebody that you got to put this label on me, right? Naturally, we're all influencing something or someone. So sorry, go ahead.
True. No, that's a good point. But it is true in our culture, in American culture and Western culture, we look up to these people, artists and athletes and entrepreneurs and I think that people, if you look at the history of queer musicians, there's a long history there. And some of my favorite musicians, I loved their music before I even knew anything about their personal lives. Right. Talk about Freddie Mercury from Queen, one of the best ever to step in front of the microphone, and so many more. I could go through a whole laundry list of people. But I think music gives us an opportunity as queer people to gain acceptance from straight people. They can relate to the songs. I've tried to build all of my songs in a way that anybody, no matter who you are, where you come from, can relate to it. Right. And I do think that I have an opportunity as a younger artist in country music who's out from the start now of my career to just be somebody where hopefully LGBTQ is not an issue, and I can just sing good songs, and people know about my personal life, and that's great. And then maybe they're drawn to that. You know, it's a nice little calling card, but it's you know, I can help to show that people like me can be in that environment. And It's the same thing with our charity. Proud to be in baseball. We are literally proud to be baseball players, and we're proud to be in the LGBT community. And those things, it's 2023. Those things are not mutually exclusive.
We once did a story on a young woman who I was judging a music competition, and there was this young girl who wrote a song about having to come out to her mom.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was moved to tears in, you know, because as a parent, I couldn't help but empathize this moment. You know, she wants her mom to love her, but she wants to be honest. And at the same token, she's trying to express, I'm still the same daughter you love. I'm still the same. I'm still everything. This is who I am. And I can't be concerned. You know, I need to be me. Yeah. And, you know, it really moved me because, again, going back to the part of like, how dare I tell somebody that they can't be authentic to themselves in that way, right? It's not criminal. It's not, I mean, I know once upon a time they made it, and that's part of the problem. We're still reeling from what was once considered illegal. But hey, there's a lot of things that were considered illegal that, you know. Drinking. I mean, I'm not even going to go. I went to law school. Some of the things I thought, I mean, at one point, and for anyone who might be offended, I'm sorry, anal sex at one point was on the books, and in some states is still considered illegal with man and woman. Like, but that's where people overstep their boundaries. I think we forget that at times, many times, still currently, legislature seems to overstep these boundaries, telling a person who they can be and what they should be, which it's wrong, and we're breaking the chains of that. You know, you're breaking the chains for yourself, your generation, and future generations to come. Yeah, it all just comes back to love. Like, that's why they call it Pride Month. Like, it gets made fun of, but you just grow up with so much shame about who you are, and it really is amazing to actually be proud of like who you are as a person. 100%. And that's the point of it. You know, it's people think it's about corporate marketing and slapping a rainbow logo on T-shirts and selling them at the mall, you know, for a month, and then they come down and, you know, on to the next thing. But it's really about us as a group of people gaining confidence and pride in who we are and living our lives the best possible ways that we can. Yeah, and supporting the community. Because we go through the same, look, nobody's crying over pink ribbons in October for Breast Cancer Month. In fact, the only people that are usually upset about that are the breast cancer survivors who are like, that actually doesn't represent what we go through. But nonetheless, I'm saying nobody has a problem with that, right? Nobody's upset that we're taking the time collectively as a society to support our fellow human beings. So I think that's incredible. And I can't help but think of my youngest daughter, Sophia, when I ask her what's her favorite color. She says rainbow. She's like, my favorite color is rainbow. And when I thought about it, I was like, that's a really good answer. Because, you know, she's like, why do I just have to pick one? And I'm like, you know, you clever little girl there, you know? That's amazing about how that story about you judging the competition. And I was just thinking as you were saying that, like, the best music has to come from, it absolutely has to come from real life lived experience. 100%. And songs are emotional. You know, if we hit people in the fields, that's good music that makes an impact. Right. How can you be the best possible version of yourself that you can be if you're holding back an entire set of real life experiences that make you unique and that make you a person. 100%. You know? Yeah. And I love Nikola Tesla said, if you want to unlock the secrets of the universe, think in terms of frequency, vibrations, and energy. And music is literally vibrations, energy, and frequencies. The certain frequencies that you even record on. It's like there is a lot that people don't understand that goes behind it. And that's why when you're not feeling good and you put on a song and you feel better and you're immediately, it's literally because the vibrational pull of that is lifting you up, or it can also do the opposite and make you feel a little, like when we're depressed and we're broken up and we put on the sad songs, right? I mean,
I got my feel good playlist. I got my sad girl pop playlist.
Katy Perry. My kids heard Katy Perry. They heard Alicia Keys. When everything's, they knew when I was in a mood, because they were like, Mom's playing all the female empowerment songs. Right?
Gotta lift yourself up.
Let me ask you, what are the next steps for you? You mentioned the EP releasing soon. What are you most excited about sharing with the world, and how can we support you? Yeah,
wow. Well, next steps for me, I am rolling out those songs. They're all built around celebrating life at the ballpark. I'm playing baseball just a little more, maybe be done right about end of the summer, I think. That's the current thought, unless somebody convinces me to keep going, which is a possibility. But
nothing's set in stone.
But and importantly, building our charity. We have 15 events coming up in Pride Month with Major League and minor league baseball teams. That is a real opportunity to make some real life growth on the ground, at the grassroots level with some of these groups, and start to improve the environment. And that's only going to build from there. And it's really just putting the work in, and writing more songs, releasing more music, and playing as many shows as I can possibly fit in between all the events and stuff. And
I know you're actually playing tonight in Hollywood, right?
Playing tonight, I got a show.
When this airs, it'll be post. So sorry, guys, didn't get to go. But
I'll have to come back.
Well, you definitely got to come back.
Playing in Hollywood tonight. You'll hear in a few months probably some news about our documentary that we have coming out. I agreed to do it because I never thought that I would be involved in a documentary at all, and I really didn't have very much interest in getting in front of the camera. I'm mostly just a baseball player and musician, but I did it because I needed to see some progress in the sport, and I felt like if I could tell my story, that could help younger athletes. And this is the type of thing that I wish I could have watched as a kid, because it would have helped me so much. It would have saved years of struggling if I had just known and been able to watch something about somebody like me.
Right.
And so all of that will be rolled out over the course of the next year or so. And I'm sure you'll see me back here in LA soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. We have a few rapid fire questions for you that are fun. They come from our team back at Unsugarcoated Media. So, first one. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Go-to karaoke? Oh, my God. Somebody to Love, Queen.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. If you could have
be really vocally warmed up for that one.
I mean, I give you kudos, because, I still don't get on karaoke just quite. Not that I'm like the worst singer ever, but, karaoke is a whole nother.
A few drinks, though, you're okay. Everybody's okay.
Right. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
To fly.
There you go.
I would love to fly.
No.
Like, even when I always try to get the window seat, like when I'm on a plane, because I've only taken videos, post them on my Instagram story.
When you said that right now, I was like, that's such a good, because I always say that I love being in different places, but I hate traveling, like getting there, connections, all the stuff, especially these days, right? Everything's delayed. So, but in my mind right now, when you said that, suddenly I had the picture of, like, have you ever been on like a motorcycle or something and you don't have a helmet and like bugs are just coming and suddenly I had this image. I'm like,
just like swallowing flies and everything.
Did Superman get them? But I'm imagining you get high enough, you're not really running into any of that stuff.
True.
So. Okay. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh my God. Billy Bean is a mentor and friend of mine, and he has just kind of told me to I'm sorry to get real serious.
No, it's okay.
Just to keep pushing and trust myself and kind of trust the process, and also to I think we're very similar in getting to know you. We're both motivated people and always pushing for something, and sometimes that can be overwhelming. Like today in the car on the way here, I got 3 calls about 3 separate things that I had to like deal with, and
Right.
I was a little overwhelmed and in traffic, so that didn't
Welcome
help.
to LA.
Yeah, LA. But it's just sometimes you need to also take a step back and take a breath and realize where you were, and then take stock of where you are, and have some gratitude. It's really hard to feel stressed out when you are thinking of things you're grateful for. Sometimes I do that. Like if I'm in the shower and I'm feeling stressed out, to make a list of 5 things I'm grateful for, and continuing to just kind of give thanks, and that helps as well.
I love that piece of advice, and I couldn't agree with you more. It's so true, so true. So, look, for our listening audience all over the world, how can they stay connected to you on social media?
Yeah, social media. I'm gonna look directly at the camera here. At Bryan Ruby Official. That's Bryan with a Y, Ruby with a Y. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. BryanRubyMusic.com, and maybe you'll see us at an event. I know we're talking to the Dodgers about coming back. You'll see us around the country this summer. So if you see me at a show or at a charity event, come say hi.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here and doing this, because I just love your story, and I love having the opportunity to share it with the world. Thank you, Bryan.
Thanks for having me on.
And to our audience at home, as we bring this episode to a close, we want to extend our sincerest thanks to our guest, Bryan Ruby, for sharing his remarkable story with us today. Bryan's journey has been a testament to courage, resilience, and unyielding determination. We feel privileged to have been able to hear his story. Through his life, Bryan has demonstrated that representation is important, and that every individual possesses the ability to make a positive difference in their own unique way. By staying true to himself and embracing his identity, he has shattered stereotypes and broken down barriers within the world of professional sports and continue in country music. This act has paved the way for future generations. However, Bryan's story is not just about dismantling barriers. It is also about the power of emotional intelligence and its ability to unite us as human beings. When we share our stories and embrace our vulnerabilities, we create space for empathy, compassion, and understanding. Consequently, we develop deeper connections with one another as well. We would like to thank Bryan again for his bravery, perseverance, and his unwavering commitment to being true to himself. He is a true trailblazer and an inspiration to us all. We hope this journey has encouraged you as much as it has motivated us, and serves as a reminder that each of us can contribute to the creation of a more inclusive and empathetic world. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Don't forget to comment, like, and share. Also, don't forget, go to our website, www.unsugarcoatedmedia.com, to sign up for the newsletter so you can know what's happening with us and stay up to date. Thank you. We'll see you next time, and thanks for letting us be unsugarcoated. Take care.